Hey, what's up, guys? I am Kevin Davis, your comic creator, author, entrepreneur, and so many other hats that I do not feel like spelling out right now. But welcome back to a new episode of Kevirsyle Network podcast, where today's is my very first veteran, Mr. Erik Dreiling, right? If I said your name correctly.
Dreiling. Close. You're
Dreiling. Okay, close, close. But
close.
first off, thank you for your service, man, and welcome to the show. How you doing, brother? I know I'm like you're in Texas, so am I, and I know it's very hot. But how you doing, brother?
Doing pretty good, like you say. Out here in West Texas, the heat, we're already coming up on the triple digits, so it's
Oof.
like any other
Oh
summer. So,
yeah.
especially yeah,
Oh yeah.
Texans, yeah, the heat to them is like just a Tuesday.
Most definitely, brother. But before we get deep dive to the nitty gritty, but tell us who is Erik Dreiling. Forgive me if I put your name again,
No,
but
it's okay.
tell us who you are, and what you do, man.
Yes, so I am one of Jumpmaster Press's many authors. I've since 2021, I've had a ongoing book series with them. It's called Fractured Timeline. It's a military sci-fi story. It's about an elite, like top secret branch of the army, an experimental one that uses time travel to catch the bad guys, so to speak. But there's actually it's much more than that, really. There's an entire conspiracy that spans centuries, and these specialized operators travel from the past to the future, and they're trying to catch these agents that work for an organization called the Odessa Foundation. And it's how do you stop an enemy that knows every move you make before you even make it? So
Oof. That's a tough story to crack
yeah,
sometimes.
it's one thing to have it all up here and you're writing it, but to actually talk about the story, like at least with me, whenever I sit down and I talk about my books, it's like I my brain stutters and I skip it. It's my mind skips around a bit. It's like there's so much I want to talk about at one time. So it's
Man, I'm a huge fan of sci-fi and like fantasy and just blending it with like the military aspect. As a veteran yourself, how do you basically translate that from your experience as a veteran into your writing? Because I know that has to be like clicking in your brain sometimes, especially
yeah,
with the
there's
sci-fi.
well, I mostly base it off of people with whom I served in the military, and there's a lot of unique personalities, especially in my unit. And I was a mechanic, so I worked in the motor pool. And during
Wow.
the long days, we would have some of the strangest conversations, and these personalities would start coming out. And it's like, I even thought back then it was like, that if I wrote this, nobody would ever believe it. So maybe the best way is make fictional, but like I said, it's a lot of it has to do with the people that I served with. Any scene that requires like weapons handling, room clearing, stuff like that, those are accurate because that's directly pulled from my training. That's pulled from people that I knew that had uh, deployed. And once they were, okay to talk about the stories, of course, they talked about some of the things they did. So, out of respect, I didn't cover a whole lot because I didn't want to do a disservice to what they did. But the core ideas, like the procedures, I wanted, at least in the military sci-fi realm, I wanted that to be accurate. So every
Mm,
time the reader reads through a chapter where they're handling a weapon or they're clearing the room, that's real. That's how they would actually do it. So, and also Kyle Hanna, he vice president and chief editor of Jumpmaster Press. He was my editor on this one. And if I messed something up, he caught it and he sent me notes like, nope, that's not how you do it. You got to go back. They would talk like this. Like there was one section of this chapter in the second book, Operation Twilight Hawk, and I got some of the radio communication wrong. And Kyle's like, nope, nope, no. They got to say this and they got to end it with that. So you need to go back. You need to fix this entire section. And that took
wow.
another couple of days because I was so like hyper focused on getting that right. So at least
Man.
with me, I don't know if it's like that with other authors, but with me, it's like, oh man, I gotta get this right. So
Mm.
um, like I said, I take a lot of the personalities from that, from the people I worked with, and I made them into characters. Like there's one, I think he's in the first book. The
Mm.
way he's always wisecracking, even when situation's serious, there's a joke. He finds like humor in it. And it's like I actually worked with somebody who did that, where if things didn't go right in the motor pool, we're all freaking out. Oh my God, the sergeant major's gonna come. He's gonna inspect these Humvees. We're toast, and he's making a joke about it. So it's like, you know what, inspiration. If you know where to look.
Heck yeah, man. I mean, that's actually me in real life when like when I'm like a awkward situation, like a bad situation, I always try to crack a joke. It's like ease the pain of what's going on.
Yeah,
Because I'm like, I am naturally like always like a very giddy, happy person, even when I'm dealing with like a heavy mindset thing going on. I always
right.
try to find some humor somewhere. Like it could be a paper bag, I can find a joke in it. It could be a cat running across the street, I can find a joke in it. Or a random toothpick, I can find a joke in it. And so I kind of like when I think of like creative ways to make something, I put that into my storytelling. And that's like, hey, that's why I started becoming a writer because writing became
Right.
my therapy, and it kept expand my imagination, and plus my mind goes a million miles per hour. So I have like so many stories in my head. Like if you can see my laptop right now, I have so many tabs open because I write comics, magazines, and novels. So I have this section comics, this section magazine, this
Right.
section novels, and I was like, well, I'm trying to make my priority on one story. I have another idea for this story. I was like, God dang it, can I
Oh, I
focus on
know.
this?
My writing fractured timeline, because you're dealing with time travel and its complexities and
Oh,
nuances. And you want to get everything right because, the people that read those kind of stories, they will find that, hey,
yeah,
remember in this one, in this book, you said this, but then the very next book, that happened and that hasn't changed yet. And it's like, okay, so I actually had a cork board where I took index cards and sticky notes, and I'm like, okay, here. So this was here, then this follows here and here. So there were quite a few times where I'd sit down to write, and my writing session ended up being some like 5 6 hour planning session alone on the corkboard. You know that meme, the conspiracy guy, where he's got all those chords,
yeah,
and lines
oh
connect.
yeah,
Yeah, that was my story planning for Fractured Timeline. So I
oh
think
my god,
one of the most challenging parts of writing a time travel trilogy is not only keeping the
wow,
changed
you're already starting to
outcomes
answer my
in
next
mind,
question.
but there was one where a scene I wrote in the second book
Mhm.
where it was a specific set of dialogue. It was actually going to set it up for the third one, but then halfway between like 2 and 3, I'm like, I don't want to do it that way. But I already have it
Mm.
printed, it's published, it's out there, so I need to find a way to still make that work, but honor those changes. So I had to go back when I was writing part 3. I had a split screen on my monitor. I had to go back and look up the manuscript for 2 and say, okay, here's the scene, but it's from this character's perspective. I'm writing the
Mhm.
same thing, but from the other character's perspective. So I had to flip it, write it, and
Oh my
make sure
god.
that the dialogue, yep. And that I think
Oh.
really challenged me, like
Ooh.
who I am as a writer, if I could pull that off. And I think when people read Operation Viper's Den, which is book part 3, I think when they read that and they come to that section in the book, hopefully I pull it off. They enjoy it. So that I'm kind of looking forward to that, the reactions from that particular
Wow.
chapter.
So so you're up to part 3 in this series right now.
Yeah, it's actually the final part.
Oh, so this is a
Yeah, it
trilogy.
was
Nice.
originally, I had it in mind for 5 books. But
Mhm.
after I told part 2, I was like, if anything else, I'm just really stretching this out. So I had a meeting with Gene and Kyle at Jumpmaster. I said, hey guys, what do you think? And of course they left it up to me. They said, it's your story. It's going to be up to you. But, our opinion is, with time travel books, they often work best as trilogies. All right, just
Mm.
think about that. And then if you still have any questions, I thought about that. That was actually at a con that I did with them back 2 years ago in Lubbock, Texas, which is like 3 or 4 hours from where I'm at. But I remember in between customers, I was talking about it. I said, I don't know what to do, guys. So they gave me their advice. And I thought, you know what? I'm like, that actually does make sense. Maybe part of my hangup was I was trying to take what worked best as one story and try to stretch it out more than, it was capable of going. So I went
Hmm.
back and I rewrote a bit. Like I was halfway through part 3, and then I ended up scrapping a big part of the book. So I'm like, this doesn't work.
Wow.
So I had to go back. But then I was motivated because I knew where the changes were going this time. So it wasn't like I set myself
Yeah.
up and yeah. Because the last thing you want to do as a writer is just staring at a blank monitor and can't get the ideas to connect. So yeah, I went and I'm like, hope this has got to work because I'm not doing this again. I want to go tell other stories. So um, hope thankfully, Kyle enjoyed it. The beta readers they enjoyed it. So that's another stressor with being an author. It's like you're waiting
Oh
for the
yeah.
beta readers. And you're like, oh my god, are
Oh.
they gonna yeah, like are they gonna like this? Are they gonna hate it?
Oh yeah. Man, dude, writing time travel type of stories, I know that's a headache. And like I'm kind of sort of attempting it myself, but I put that on the back burner because I have other stories I'm focusing on right
right.
now. Um, but I've seen so many time travel type of movies from like the Tomorrow War with Chris Pratt with that Chris Pratt movie on
I love
Amazon.
that's a great movie. Yes.
Um, I think that was with the he was the military, right? I think it was it the military? He was I think it was.
I believe
It's
so.
been a while since I've seen it, but I think it was with the
Yeah, I think he
military.
was like a former I know maybe somebody else out there would know, but I think he was like former like a ranger or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I'm like it was.
they
I'm like it
pulled
was.
people who were set to die that
Yeah,
they pulled them out before and they threw them into this war in the
yeah,
future.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that came
Yeah,
out
that's
when I was
actually.
working on the second book. I'm like, because I'm like working on my book, and then the Tomorrow War pops up on my to watch list. I'm like, oh, I'm like, okay. I'm like, so, but writing time travel, the thing about it is the advice given to me, the first bit of
Mm,
advice was you're not going to please everybody because everybody who enjoys that genre, they have their own idea of how time travel should work.
true,
So
true.
you got to figure out what works for your story and then just
Yep.
stick to it and make sure that well, obviously whatever you're writing in, you obviously you believe enough in this story and so keep staying motivated with that because I'm a natural people pleaser. I have to make sure everybody's happy at all time. But as a writer, that is like one of the worst things you could do because you're kind of giving up a little bit of who you are as a writer
Yeah.
to make somebody you
Yeah.
may never meet happy. And even then, you don't know if they enjoy what you write or if they go, "Oh my
Mhm.
god, this is a heaping pile of garbage." So I
Yeah.
just by halfway through Twilight Hawk, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going for it. I'm going to write how it is in the story. If they like it,
Mm.
great. If not, hey, I'll find out. So,
Yeah. That's kind of like I was kind of like that when I first started writing because I was thinking about what people think. But
yeah,
then I learned I was like, it's my story. The thing that matters the most is what I want to tell, or what story I want to tell. People
right,
can give their opinions and stuff, but at the end of the day, it's what am I proud what am I proud of writing about? Like, yeah, you're not gonna please everyone. I'm just like, you're not meant to please everyone because everyone
yeah,
has their own different tastes. So I learned that. I'm just like, I'll listen to feedback, of course. But if you think it's trash, I don't care. I was like, cool. At least you gave it a chance. I was like, but if you just say it's trash, I'm not gonna listen to you. But if you give me like a full fledged constructive criticism, I will listen to you. Like, cause you actually give me feedback to make me think upon stuff that I need to like
mhm.
improve, like stretch out, and like make better. But I was like, but if you just simply say it's trash or it's bad, it's like, God, I'm like, okay, you just a hater at this point. So I'm like,
Right.
I'm not
And I've
gonna.
actually talked to somebody kind of just like that back when I started taking my writing seriously. Like I want
Mhm,
this published. These are the stories I want to tell. That was around like 2018, right? So it was just a
mhm,
little bit before the pandemic, but I sat down and I started writing what became book one, which is Operation Silent Serpent, and it was a drastically different book from what it was to what was published. And I remember I was bouncing ideas off an old friend, from high school, and he's like, "Man, that's just like Terminator." I'm like, "Okay, well, tell me what is like Terminator, and then I can know where to make the changes." So I don't know, guy going back in time. I'm like, Okay, but he's not there to kill
There's
anyone. He's not there. I'm like, he's there to
there's so many
protect.
time travel stories that's not
Yeah.
Terminator, but
So he's
okay.
like, well, you have him like, because the original concept for the time machine that I use was this weird like chrome sphere thing, right? And it had like
Mhm.
a lot of like different moving parts to it. And in my mind, it looked great, but then actually what ended up becoming published, it was based off of the Large Hadron Collider, because there's actual
Oh,
scientific like theories out there that if under the right conditions, it could be used as some form of time travel. Like it could be used as a time machine. So I thought, well, hey, that will help ground my story. So I'm going to
yeah.
use that idea because I think that would be great. So that's what I had in the book, and all that the characters see. Because I wanted to make it something different. I didn't want a room full of fancy tech, but what the characters see is like a wall with a hole cut out, and they're like, okay. And even the characters in the book are like, where is this thing that's supposed to wow me? And they're like, oh, that's on the other side of the wall. It's 17 miles long. It goes this way, and they're like, oh. So I figured that was like, I'm like, that's a cool thing to add in the story. So anyway, my friend was like, no, that's been done to death too. I'm like, what would you suggest? You know, rather than like get after him, like, okay, what would you suggest? I'm like, something that's never been done before. He's like, okay, a door. They walk through a door. I'm like, been done. Stephen King, 11/22/63. The
Yeah.
main character, Jake Epping, he walks into the pantry pretty
Mhm.
much. He goes through the door, he walks in, and he falls into the past. I went, that's been done. He's like, no, it hasn't. I'm like, go Google it.
I
Because
was
well,
like,
I gotta talk.
yes.
I gotta go, man. I'll talk to you later.
I
I'm
was
like,
like,
so you can't
yes.
say, you know, something because everything's really been done. It's what you do with it. It's putting your stamp on it,
Yeah.
and that's how. And once you start looking at it that way, it's it helps ease a lot of maybe the tension or the reluctance to sit down and be like, oh, I don't want people to think that. It's like no matter what you do, somebody's always going to say that. And if you
Mm,
acknowledge that before you even type the first letter or the first word in your book,
that part.
you'll be far
That
better
part.
off.
That part. Oh my God.
So,
Oh yeah. That's why when I approach my writing, I take like different genres and like
mhm,
create my own original thing. Like for example, Daredevil for Marvel, mixing it with like an Adam Sandler movie. I make a
right.
action-packed comic vigilante story. Who knows? Something like that. Um, and so I was, hey, what's up, pops? Um, and so yeah, a lot of things have been done like over and over again, and like like one genre, for example, slashers. Somebody's
Yeah.
getting stabbed 100,000 times in the slasher. It's like
Yeah.
from Michael Myers to Jason to Scream to all these other slashers. I was like,
Mm,
I'm right. I'm writing my first slasher novel. Well, I wrote it, but I took it down. I'm rewriting it because it felt too much like Scream and too much like Michael Myers. And so I'm like, okay, how can I make this more creative that doesn't seem the same as it's been like done other like in other movies? And so this, I'm like, I'm a huge slasher fan. I was like, but I want to do something that's crazy that's not seen before. But what is that? It's the question. And I was like, I'll figure it out. And so when you're writing your this amazing Fractured Timeline series, first you kind of got into it a bit what inspired you, but what was the deeper meaning that what's the shoot, what's the like what's the deeper meaning of your story that made you want to tell this story as a sci-fi mixed with military aspect with this? Basically what I'm trying to ask.
Oh, actually, the story to that
Mhm.
is it actually came up with the base idea all the way back in 1996, right after I turned
Oh wow.
15.
Wow.
And those used to be the stories like every time I get overwhelmed with school or me, family drama, typical teenage drama, I'd
Oh
always
yeah.
retreat into my imagination and I would, just kind of start thinking about these characters. And this is something that I would like to see. This is something that I want to read about. So I started, even back then, started thinking, well, if I became an author, how would I write the story? And one of the biggest influence, and I tell this story, all the time, but people look at me and they go, dude, this guy can't be serious. I absolutely am. one of the biggest influences, at least for book one, Operation Silent Serpent, is the movie Time Cop with Jean-Claude Van Damme. That movie I adored as a
Dude,
kid.
Time
That
Cop.
was
I
my
love that
first
movie.
real, like, other than Back to the Future, because I think that's default for people. Sci-fi, fantasy, Back to the Future.
Yeah,
Everybody's seen that movie, and
yeah.
I think it's wonderful. I'm not even talking down to it, but I'm just saying to be a little bit more original with my answer here. It was Time Cop because I'd watched that movie and I thought it was so cool. You know, a cop is traveling through time. He's catching this bad guy, and his own personal life is caught up in the balance of it. And so I started thinking, like, I want to write a story like that.
Mm.
And what I used to do is I used to get construction paper and I would measure the pages of the books that I had, and I would cut them out, and then I'd handwrite. And I'd give the pages to my stepmom, and she would take it to work and get the plastic binding so it looked like I had a book. And I did that for a
What?
while. I did that. Yep. I
Dude,
did
that's
that for a
sick.
while. And I used to draw the covers and everything. And then the first time I actually started sending query letters. Now, I don't recommend doing this to any author, aspiring author, but I was trying to sell an idea I hadn't written down yet. I just wanted to see if I could do it. So as a kid, I went through the yellow pages back when we still had the yellow pages. Flipped through, I looked up publishers. I wrote a letter to every single one. And most of them came back, hey, you got a good idea. Obviously, you can tell you're a kid, but just keep trying. One day you'll get it. Somebody sent me a free invite to their writers group. He said, you'll be our youngest member by far. I was 15 at the time. So you'll be our youngest member by far, but if you're doing this now, you clearly have a passion for it. So that was interesting. And then one of the letters I wrote to was actually they printed Bibles. So I'm like, oh my God. I still have that letter somewhere in my closet, which is actually the door, like right behind me. So I'm here in my office. Somewhere stashed on the other side of that door is the original letter, dated from April 1996,
Wow.
saying, hey, you got quite the imagination, but we don't think we're the right place. So trying to sell a pitch a book when you don't even have anything written, I'm just like, how would I have done that? Had somebody said yes, I wouldn't have had anything to give.
Right.
So after that, it was just almost like 20 years of just kind of keeping the ideas on the back burner, writing whenever I had a chance. And then here comes Jumpmaster, and by this time I actually had a manuscript completed. So I sent it to him. And the thing that I always tell Kyle, because we've talked about this, Kyle Hanna, is that he never gave me an outright rejection. He said, it's not ready yet, but this is the first step. So don't get discouraged. We're not saying no. We're just saying this is what needs to be improved first. So that motivated me. When I got that email from him, I'm like, you know what? I want to get right back to that computer upstairs. I want to sit down. And I kept working. And then not quite a year later, I got the publishing offer from Jumpmaster. So first one came out in 21. Twilight Hawk, book 2, Operation Twilight Hawk, came out in 23, and Operation Viper's Den, the last one in the series, is it's expected to release early July.
Early July. Man, this sounds like an awesome series, brother. First, can you give us like a elevator pitch for each book? Like that doesn't spoil anything about the story, but give us like an elevator pitch from book 1, 2, and 3, and tell the audience why we should buy the books.
Okay, so Fractured Timeline, it's a 3-book series. Book 1, Operation Silent Serpent, kicks everything off. There's a scientist, her name is Dr. Allison Cade. In 1995, she barely escapes an assassination attempt, and she spends the next 36 years preparing for when it happens again, when the timeline loops back on itself. So she's using knowledge that she learned from the previous timeline. She's like, I know when and where. I know who's going to be involved. I know when they're coming back. So she starts making moves. But then those changes have an unforeseen side effect. Story happens and goes on to book 2. And from there, to tell you more about book 2 would ruin book 1, which is where the intricacies of time travel come in. Ooh. So if I tell you more about book 2, it's going to kind of ruin book 1. but the timeline does a lot of weaving and ducking and
Ah,
intertwining on itself, and
yeah.
it escalates into this huge conflict that had already been playing out in the background. It just gets pulled more towards the surface where everybody else can finally see it.
Wow.
The main characters are Dr. Allison Cade and Master Sergeant, excuse me, wow, Master Sergeant Blake McDaniel. He's a former Delta Force operator. He gets recruited into Temporal Operations Command, and he ends up leading a team called Torchlight 1. And then that's where the first book comes in. And then the second book, I will say this without ruining too much, book 2 is more Dr. Cade's story. Book 1 is
Gotcha.
McDaniel's story mostly. Book 2 is Dr. Cade's. And then book 3 kind of brings those storylines together.
You culminating together in the final chapter to bring,
Yep.
dude, heck yes, dude. That's freaking
So
amazing.
we got Master Sergeant McDaniel. He's doing his thing. But he has a special ability, actually. And this comes into from where his family line really comes from.
Mhm.
He actually has the ability to perceive changes in time as they happen. And he can remember before without having to actually travel. He can actually perceive when reality shifts.
Ooh.
So he doesn't know where that ability comes from. And then throughout the story, he learns exactly where he gets it from and why and the conditions that were met to make that happen. So there's a lot to go on. And elevator pitching a time travel book, unless it's a high concept where he goes back from the present, goes from the present to the past, stays there, kind of like Outlander is more of a, they're from there to here.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Now the TV show, they're all over the place, but in the books, it's more direct and it's easier to follow. So that is something that I do take into great consideration when I was working on the story. I didn't want to confuse the readers too much, but I've learned, at least from my experience, just a little confusion reading time travel, it adds to the enjoyment because it's like
it does.
Following along with the characters, you're thinking what they're thinking, you're feeling what they're feeling.
Yeah. I love stories like that. I mean, as long as you're not doing like what the Richard did with season 1, where he just felt like jumpy every 5 minutes. I was like, stuff like that. Because season 1 of Richard gave me a headache because they were doing too many timelines at once in the episode. I was like, that, but I got through it when my sister explained it to me what was happening. So, phew. But I love time travel stories. I'm legit such a big nerd. I fall in love with so many different type of stories. And then like I know when like Marvel did like the time travel thing with Avengers, I was like, okay, how the heck they gonna do this? And they did it in a kind of sort of different way ish, but they did it their own way. And like you said, Back to the Future, one of my all-time favorite movies franchises. I love that freaking movie. And like Tomorrow War was one of my favorite movies too from Prime Video a couple years ago. And just so many aspects of time travel. Just I gotta applaud you because that is you have 3 books like that. That is tough to make one freaking book, my guy. So
that's why it took me 5 years to get all 3.
So I applaud you for that.
Especially after the first one. I mean, some people might think that once you get the publishing deal, you get a contract for your first book, that writing the other ones are going to be a breeze. It's actually not. In many ways, it adds
that's more tension on you, honestly.
Yep, it adds
pressure,
levels of complexity because now there's a standard. You met the standard. Now you got to either meet or excel that standard to keep that going. And every time you release a book, it goes a little higher up. The expectations, and
it grows.
Because if by book 3 you're still making the same mistakes that you were back during the pitch for book 1, then there's a problem. But most people, they will continue to build. And of course, not every book, no book's perfect. No, every book will have its little, I don't even want to say flaws, just nuances, that either you accept or you don't. It took me a long time to get to that point because writing, I was always a perfectionist. It had to be right. But what was perfect to me, and I found this out, this is kind of what woke me up. What I thought was perfect, and this happened during Operation Twilight Hawk. I sent one of the edits back, and then a couple of months later, Kyle Hanna sends it back to me, and he has all these notes. And I'm like, oh man, I thought I nailed that. And he pointed out, like, okay, I see where you're going with this, but to make this work, you got to either get rid of this scene or expand on that scene. So
Mm,
once I kind of let go of the perfectionist side of it, it was a lot more relaxed. I mean, you still worry, of course, but
mm.
it was more relaxed, and I sat down with just a little bit more confidence too. Um, and I think with my other sci-fi influences, other than obviously Time Cop, it was actually Stargate SG-1.
Really? I love Stargate too. Heck
Yep,
yeah, dude.
Stargate was huge with book 2 because
Oh,
I wanted to get down like how the people got along, like how Colonel O'Neill and Daniel Jackson got along, and you had Teal'c and Carter.
yeah.
You had the main cast, right? Is like I use that as a template to be like, okay, this is what people enjoyed about the military sci-fi. I can make that work for my characters.
Yeah.
But you got to drop that. There's a fine line too, because in your mind you may think that you're doing it, service, but then you might unintentionally just be copying exactly rather than putting
Mm,
your own mark on it, your own stamp on it. So I had to be very careful with that. Um, but it was the atmosphere, what drew people to military sci-fi. It's
mm.
the set. I wanted for Stargate. I wanted to capture their sense of adventure. Every week it was some new world, some new situation, and they had to adapt to it. And I took
Mm.
those concepts and I'm like, okay, how can I make that work for my series?
And from your personal opinion, like, why do you think military science fiction like resonates so strongly with readers, especially with the time travel aspect of it?
Well, first, I believe it's the escapism that it offers. It takes this fantastical situation, right? And it uses realistic characters, people that may
Mhm.
remind you of a coworker or a relative or even a neighbor down the street. And you take those kind of people, that believable people, and you put them in these extraordinary situations. It kind of gives you a sense of excitement, like, hey, I want to find out what happens next. I want to follow these people in this adventure, and
Mhm.
seeing how these average people respond to these extraordinary situations, I think is an anchor for military sci-fi, and that's something that at least I attempted to incorporate into my books.
Mm.
So, and also I think another part is all the cool flashy military tech that you see, and it's like, oh my god, like there was actually something I didn't know existed until I started researching these books called smart bullets.
Smart bullets. What's that?
Smart bullet, yeah. Actually, when you fire it, there's actually a little microprocessors installed in these bullets that,
Yeah.
if under the right circumstances, you can actually slightly change its trajectory. So if you shoot like this, you can either get the bullet to go up or go down. I thought it was just pure science fantasy, so I looked it up, and they
Whoa.
DARPA 2014 smart bullets were a
So
real thing.
you're
So I'm like, you
basically
know
telling
what?
me
I'm
you're
gonna
basically
use
you're playing
that.
a real life video game with the bullet, basically.
So I actually put that into Operation Viper's Den. I'm not going to say at what point in the book, but they're talking about it. And someone's
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, that's pretty cool." It's like, "Yeah, hence the smart and smart bullet." He's like, "Oh." So it's
Man.
you also got to know with this when to be self-referential or when to go meta on it. It's got to be right. You don't always want to call attention to yourself, like, "Hey, this is science fiction," but one of my favorite lines of dialogue, and this doesn't ruin anything. It's one of the main characters in the third book, and the was it Temporal Command is showing them all the new technology that they acquired, from the first two
Yeah.
books, and they're like, man, they really went all out on the sci-fi enchilada with this one, didn't they? And the line just came natural to me. So it's like I'd probably say something like this. They're showing all this, high tech, equipment, and it's like, how would somebody respond to that? And it's like, oh, all right, well, You got the whole sci-fi enchilada this time, didn't you, boys? And so I like, you know what? I like it. If it's corny, it's corny, but it's gonna stick. It works for me. So
Man, and you kind of touched on this a little bit too, but how was the publishing process with you, for you when you was releasing the first book and the second book and now the third book? And how has that changed overall? Like yeah, how has that changed over time? Jesus Christ, I can try to find a word. Over time, from the beginning to where you are now. There we go. Jesus, tongue twisters. But how's that publishing process changed over time,
um
especially with Master Press now, with how handling everything?
okay, well, after the first one, because first I had to prove myself that I was worth publishing.
Mm,
Jumpmaster took that chance. They read what I had to offer. They enjoyed it. After it took me 3 tries, it wasn't just something immediate like, oh, hey, your idea is cool. Here's a contract. It was they had specific guidelines that needed to be met, and either I met them or I didn't. So I had to hold myself accountable. So once I did that, then book two I thought would just be a breeze, but no, it's like, okay, now they're expecting more of me. I already have book one published. It's out there. People have read it. They seem to enjoy it. So I don't want to lose that interest now. I want them to come back for book two. So
mhm,
with that, I used it as a way to grow as a writer, as an author. I wanted to show that I could take what came before, not just exactly copy it beat for beat, but build upon it. So I looked
mhm.
at it like staircase. Each step will take you closer to the top.
Yeah.
So if I looked at it that way, then book two came out. I wrote that like during the pandemic, actually. It was like right after like before book one hit the shelf.
Wow.
After the cover was designed, I was already working on the first draft of book two because I had that motivation. I kept going. But then I realized, after the pandemic set in and priorities changed for a little while, I took a step back from writing. And when I went back and saw it again, I realized where I was rushing it, where I was just repeating myself. So you
Mhm.
got, as an author, you got to allow yourself that time to step back, give it time to cool off, to mellow, go back to it. I'd say like 3 to 6 weeks, 3
Mm.
weeks minimum. Give it enough time. You go back, you look at it, and you go, you know what? I didn't see that. I didn't see that before. That doesn't work. But this idea will.
Mhm.
So with book three, because I was ending it, there's a sense of like, okay, this ending has to land.
Yeah.
Because what's worse than an ending that doesn't land is just something that's completely open ended. Like you, with me, what happened was when I wrote Fractured Timeline, I realized with time travel, something new can always happen. Something could always be changed. So in that regard, there is no definite end. Once the time travel genie is out of the bottle, there's no putting it back in. It's out there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Crazy stuff's going to happen. So I'm like, how can I make that happen? So you don't. So with the ending of the third one, I just used my best judgment. I'm like, this is how it's going to be. So I put the ending that's out there. Obviously, I'm not going to say what it is,
Right. Yeah.
right?
We gotta
But
read the book, guys. We gotta read the book series, guys.
yeah, but I believe that the ending is satisfying. Obviously, I wrote it, but um, but seriously, I believe the way it ends is the best possible way for something like time travel to end. So it comes, like I said, it comes out hopefully early July because that's the expected date. Um, jumpmasterpress.com. It's actually going to be in a box set too. I spoke to Gene Rowley, and he actually redesigned the box set because first it was just a 2 book box set,
Mhm.
and then they don't. I don't think they do those anymore. It's at least like a 3 book, if So they have, books one and two have all new covers. We did a complete redesign, and your
Sick.
viewers, they can actually go to Jumpmaster Press's website right now, and those covers are out there.
Heck yeah. You heard him, guys. Jumpmasterpress.com. You can actually check out the new covers of his book.
Yep.
Um,
Because we wanted something that captured the spirit of the story. Just a little, we wanted something more attention grabbing.
oh
So
yeah,
I believe we accomplished that.
yeah,
Gene Rowley did amazing. He gets the credit for the covers because he's the one that designed them. We had a Zoom meeting. He said, "Okay, what are your ideas? Where do you use it? It's your book. Where do you how do you see these covers?" And I gave him my
yeah.
ideas, and then he worked his magic. And then a week later, he shows me the cover for book one. I'm like, "Hey, let's do it."
Like, I'm just gonna
And
share the website right here in the comment
yeah,
section, guys.
um,
Jumpmasterpress.com.
and then the second and third one, there's actually a color theme with the title. Without giving too much away, the astute viewer will notice that the coloring for the titling
Uh,
can get a little darker with each entry
oh,
to
such a tease.
signify
Like
how
it.
things are getting more,
Yeah. Oh wow. And
That was
now,
actually Gene's idea, not mine, because I didn't
oh,
even think about that. I wanted something different. He's like, "Well, how about we do it like this?" And I'm like, "Wow!" Like I just sat there for a second. I'm like, "I don't know what this is." Like, what, you like it? You don't? I'm like, no, no, I love it.
and since since I learned your story is time travel, I kind of came up with some fun questions. That's trying to break some ice so we get off
Right.
like loosen some tension a bit, especially promoting your book. If you could travel through time yourself, where and when would you go?
Actually, if I could go anywhere, I would want to go 100 years ahead. I kind of want to see where we're heading. If I want to
Ooh,
know
that's
where we've been,
deep.
I'll go to the
Oh,
library. I'll go to Google. I'll look up something that's already
there was a
been
math.
established. But
Yeah.
I want to know if
Ooh.
we learned the proverbial lesson. I want to know if we make the right moves. I want to be able to look ahead and then kind of have an idea. So act surprised when it happens. Like if this happens 25 years from now, 30 years from now, I'll act surprised. But no, I would love to go forward and kind of see where we're going.
I've never heard anyone say that. That's the first time I've actually heard that before. So that's actually pretty cool. If Fractured Timeline was adapted into a movie or television series, who would you cast in your lead roles as your characters?
Oh man. Uh, let's see. Um, for Dr. Cade, honestly, I don't know. There's a lot of like great actresses out there that could pull it off. I genuinely don't know. I
Interesting.
know with McDaniel, I would probably go with Jason Statham. With TJ,
Really?
I would go for
Oh
him.
snap! Heck yeah!
I would go for Jason Statham.
Oh, I love Jason Statham.
Because you see it
Uh,
like transport, you see his movies, and it's just Hobbs and Shaw. Even that was a fun movie.
that was fun. Oh
That
yeah.
wasn't meant to be taken seriously, which makes the movie work because it's not trying to
Mhm.
take that concept and make it like, oh, this is dire. It's fun. It was sci-fi. It's
Exactly.
so I
Yeah.
saw him in that, and I'm just like, yeah, I could see him pull like if they did a casting of. But I did want to say, speaking of like casting roles,
Mhm.
Operation Silent Serpent's actually an audio book too. It's on
Heck
YouTube.
yeah.
Yeah, it's under the Jumpmaster Press's official YouTube channel.
Heck
And
yeah.
the narrator, his name is Jared Walters. He did an amazing job. Like this guy hit every character in the book. Like he doesn't sound the same with each character. So it's not just him simply
Nice.
reading the manual. This is him like embodying
Acting out
each
the
character.
character.
So like McDaniel has his own
Yeah.
mannerisms. Dr. Cade, General Sikorsky, the TOC, commanding officer.
Mhm.
Everybody's got their person, and Jared Walters captured that perfectly. So I always give
Heck
that guy credit every time I'm promoting that on my author page. I'm like, you got to check this out. This guy Jared Walters, he did amazing work. So the audiobook for book one is out there, and it's free. You don't have to pay. You just go to it, and yeah.
Dude, heck yeah. Which sci-fi universe or franchise do you enjoy the most?
Hmm. Franchise. Let's see. Obviously Stargate SG-1. That one is special because I watched the pilot but way back in '97 when it was first on Showtime. I followed that from beginning to end. So Stargate has a special spot in my heart. I
Nice.
also go for the much older sci-fi. Michael York and Logan's Run, going back to the early '70s for that one.
I've heard of
I
that one.
love that.
I don't think I watched,
Blade,
but I
the
heard of it.
original, yeah, Blade Runner.
Ah,
Military
yeah,
Dick. Yep, I love. Like I got
yeah.
the novel, the original novel, and I
Heck yeah.
love those kind of stories. So franchises, I would give it to Stargate SG-1, but also have an appreciation for the like Altered Carbon. That was great book. Great series too. I'm super. It's kind of sad that Netflix canned it after 2 seasons, but that was
Yeah. I haven't watched it myself. My sister told me about it, and it sounds fantastic. I know Anthony Mackie was season 2, wasn't he?
yeah. He was the lead because each one is like a different body or a sleeve that he wears. So it's the
Ah,
same character,
okay.
but he could be anybody. So that's why he went from Joel Kinnaman in season
Oh,
one to Anthony
yeah.
Mackie in season two, and it was like, yeah.
Wow. And if you
So,
could spend, oh, sorry.
oh no, go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, if you could spend a day with one historical figure, who would it be and why?
Hmm. One historical figure.
Mhm.
Honestly, I would Einstein. I'd hang out with Albert Einstein for a day. Yeah, I would.
Interesting, interesting. Why Einstein?
Because his groundbreaking research in theoretical physics, he partially laid the groundwork, for that, theory of relativity. And I just kind of wanted to sit and talk to him about whatever, because I know most of what he says, it's like, your intelligence is like way up here, and I'm like trying to just figure out what you said 10 minutes ago. But
Oh,
it's just to sit down and just hear him talk. I think I would enjoy that more. Just to kind of enjoy his company, hang out, listen to him talk.
yeah. Now that you have completed this trilogy, basically, what's next that you could tease us about if you can?
Oh, well, actually, I started working on something in a completely different genre. Uh,
Oh, okay.
I'm writing this one for Jumpmaster Press. It's at the core, it's a ghost story, but it's
Interesting.
not a ghost story in the sense that you see like demons and ghosts flying at you. It's
Yeah.
what you hear but cannot see. It's
Oh,
what you feel but cannot see. And it's tied to the central character's experiences as a child, living in that summer home with his father.
whoa.
And something happens to his father
Hmm.
that's mentioned. You don't see it, but it's mentioned because the story, I don't want to jump around because I did a lot of that with Fractured Timeline. You're jumping from this time period, that time period.
Yeah.
And for time travel, that works beautifully. For this one, I want to do more grounded. It's kind of like let me see. You know how those TV movies? They're on a fixed budget, so you take that
Yeah.
one or two locations and you really
Yeah.
stretch. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
taking that. I'll admit, I'm taking that approach at least with the first draft because the location is central to what's happening. That I feel to pull the reader out of that and say, "Oh, hey, when he was walking to Walmart, he saw a ghost or something like that." It's like cool, but what's happening back over there? So I'm using location as a character. And I tried doing that with Fractured Timeline. Hopefully, I pulled that off, and
Mm.
people see where once they read the books, they see what I'm talking about. But using location as a character is something that I found that myself as an author, I really like doing because it gives you so much more creativity, so much more creative wiggle room to do what you want to do, to explore the things you want to explore. And I'm having a blast writing it. Like I thought I was gonna like in the beginning I was struggling, but then it's like, no, I want to really challenge myself as an author. I want to see if I can pull
Yeah.
this off. Either I will or I won't. And the
Yeah.
working title is Terminal Echoes. Case Files
Terminal
from the Pale
Echoes.
Lantern Group is the working title.
It sounds badass. Like seriously.
So it has a
That's
few,
crazy.
it focuses on a few characters, and it's it's being authentic with the main character. I don't want him to come across as overpowered, or he's not clairvoyant. He's not he's an average guy who's
Mm,
had, like many people out there, this traumatic event that defined who he became as an adult, how he processed conflict and sorrow and grief. And what if the spirits played off of that grief? Remember, it's
mhm,
not what you see, it's what you can hear, it's what you can sense. And
mhm.
finding that, it's like what you can't see is in many ways a lot scarier.
Yeah.
So that is my big project right now. I'm taking my time with this one. So I even want the first draft not to be perfect, since it's the first draft. First drafts can never
Yeah.
be perfect, but I want it to hit the right notes out the gate when I submit it.
Heck yeah, dude. First, man, I'm excited for you, man. Well, first, thank you for coming on the show and talking with us, man, about your books and what you're doing, man. It sounds freaking amazing. Where can we follow you? First, where can we find your books, and where can we follow you to keep up with your projects?
The best place is actually Jumpmaster Press website, jumpmasterpress.com. Uh, you'll go to their search bar, which is on their homepage, and just type in the address, and it'll take you straight to a link where you can, buy it. I do know box sets are coming out soon. I don't know exactly when, but I know Gene Rowley has that planned, and it's going to release as a complete set. In the meantime, I'm active on Facebook, Erik Dreiling author. It's really easy to find. I'm always updating. I usually update like every 4 to 5 days. I'm putting some, either like I do a segment called Behind the Book, where I share a little bit about the writing processes of how I brought Fractured Timeline, into the hands of the readers. So
Heck
I'm doing that, or every now and then I'll put some writing advice, like pro writer tip or something like that. So they can find me there. Like I said, Facebook is probably the best. I do have a TikTok, but that one, I'll admit, doesn't get as much love and attention as my Facebook profile, only because I never really fully embraced TikTok. Like I know
it's
people
not for
have, and there's
everyone.
nothing wrong with
Yeah.
that, but with me, it's like I guess I just prefer Facebook. Like I
Yeah.
update the TikTok, but it's also, I'm under that sci-fi guy 81. Yeah, so again,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
I'm not that hard to find, really. But I wanted to take this opportunity. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me onto your show. I mean, this is awesome. I love doing these things, and I love talking to people like you and getting to just talk shop, for a while.
Heck yeah,
But
man.
also
You're
Gene
more than
and
welcome to come back anytime, man.
thank you, and Gene and Kyle, Jumpmaster Press, those guys, they get a lot of credit too, because they're the ones obviously that publish me, but at the same time, they're the ones that make the book look visually appealing. They're the ones
Mhm.
that get to network with people and get to bring attention to our, to our stories.
Yeah.
And so I'm just sitting beside myself, like Fractured Timeline. It's, book 3. It's going to come out, like I said, early July, and it's an end of an era for me in a way, because I've been with that story for,
5 years.
yep, and I've worked
Mm.
and plotted. Like I have so many notes, and I never thought that I would actually get to a point where I was going to end it. I thought I was just going to go on and on. But part of being a writer, it's kind of like learning to look at each book like a child. You nurture it, you raise it, and then when it's ready to go out into the world, make its own mark, then you release that, and then
Mm.
you find something else to do. And in a writer's case, you nurture that story, you cultivate it, you make it to what it is, you put it into the reader's hands, and then you move on to the next story.
Oof. Oh
And
yeah.
the last thing I want to do as an author is pigeonhole myself into one genre. I mean, yes, military sci-fi is my main genre, and in fact, I have another military sci-fi story out there. It's well, it's going to be out there, but
Okay.
it's not a time travel story. In fact, I always called Fractured Timeline my love letter to 1980s and 1990s sci-fi, because that's the golden era for me of
That was the
sci-fi.
best. Yeah, I was like the best years of sci-fi.
So the main goal of Fractured Timeline was just to recreate that love of, the sense of adventure and excitement. And I wanted to share that with today's reading audience. So
Man,
hopefully I accomplished that.
man, I have so many books to buy. I gotta add your books to my list. um, but you guys heard him. Go follow Erik Dreiling, author, on Facebook, and you can find me on Facebook. I am Kevin Davis, CEO, and I'm on Instagram at I am Kevin Davis Official. Brother, congratulations again. You got your third baby coming up in
Yep.
early July.
I know.
Oh
Thank you so
man, I'm
much. I'm
I'm
so
going to buy all
excited.
three books. I promise you that I'm going to buy all three books. I want to read this series. As plus, I've been reading sci-fi. I love reading sci-fi. I need a really good sci-fi book series. It's been a while,
Yeah.
so I'm definitely going to read that. But you guys go to jumpmasterpress.com right here on the screen to buy his book, and also check out Kyle Hanna. He's one of the best dudes I've ever met.
Yeah.
And like he's one of the amazing people.
He's the one that sent me the contract.
Go support my brother Erik.
Of course, him and Gene, they sent
Yeah.
me thank you.
But go support authors, man. Get their stories out. Let's shoot, because we need some good stories out here. It's been too much media. Like, can we just get back to reading and just have an imagination again?
Yeah.
That's always what my push is. It's like get people to reading again, have some fun, bring some love, some positivity, some imagination, some creativity, because we need that right now. Like some laughter too, because we need some good laughter. But guys, go check Erik out. Go buy his books, and dude, go have some sci-fi military fun. With some time travel. Yeah, I will catch you guys next time on the Kevirsyle Network podcast. Deuces, guys.
Bye, everyone.
If you missed the live viewing of any Madness Entertainment Group production, you can find all our content on Roku or as a member of this channel. We'll see you next time on the Madness Entertainment Group.